wristbands, and today we're looking at this 35mm version of the Tissot PRX and why I think it deserves a spot in anyone's collection. It is very typical for the release of a certain timepiece to create a rumble among watch enthusiasts. Just as typical, however, is for that buzz to gradually fade over the course of time, leaving only those truly worth the recognition to make it past the initial popularity. The continuing positive reception for the PRX since its return in 2021 certainly puts it in that exclusive guild of watches truly deserving of a crown. Not this crown, despite the undeniable likeness, but rather one for having the one-of-a-kind charisma to unify the vast and structured kingdom of watch collectors. For the first case, we're looking at someone whose buying decision is heavily influenced by the function over form principle. Someone who puts more value into a watch's reliability, accuracy, and versatility, with looks simply coming in as a perk of making a fairly significant purchase. This individual most likely wants a single watch that is capable of withstanding most day-to-day activities, with looks that are hopefully versatile enough to fit in most practical scenarios. The Tissot PRX is a truly capable go-anywhere, do-anything watch featuring a scratch-resistant sapphire crystal and 100 meters of water resistance. The Swiss quartz movement inside, while being a polarizing feature among watch collectors, does offer very practical advantages such as better accuracy, shock resistance, reliability, and something those new to the hobby unknowingly overlook: the significantly lower cost of maintenance compared to that required by a mechanical movement. A sporty integrated bracelet design along with the mostly brushed finish definitely makes this watch the perfect casual workday to weekend piece, while those hints of polishing on the case and bracelet, along with the highly polished bezel, give the watch just the right touch of sophistication for occasions that may require a bit of dressing up. Adding to all those features is the watch's relatively smaller footprint, offering a very pleasant experience even through a full day of wear. Finally, and perhaps of most importance to the consumers in the segment of the market, price. Currently coming in at around $300, it would be difficult to find an alternative recommendation that offers better value than this PRX does. Here we're looking at a group of enthusiasts who, despite already having a few pieces in their possession, are on a continuing hunt for the next best watch. Members of this group are harder to please, having developed higher standards over the course of their watch collecting journey. They can be more partial over a brand's reputation, but nevertheless try to stay objective with their purchases, at least most of the time, finding value in any deal that presents a good balance between quality, price, and style. With this remake, the market is presented with a relatively affordable offering from a Swiss company with more than a century of watchmaking history that neither falls short in looks, features, nor execution. Let me try to highlight a few areas on this watch that for me clearly display a level of detail that is on par with pieces with significantly higher prices. Look at how sharply the top side of the case slopes down to either side, forming very defined facets that, apart from serving as lugs, would also render a sharply defined shape that perfectly matches every single link in the bracelet. The vertical brushing on top is also carried out uniformly into this plane and throughout the rest of the bracelet for a strong integrated look. Another impressive detail is the polished bevel on the tip of the lugs, being identical to that found on the inner edge of each link. Turning the watch to either side, we can again see that familiar polished hairline beveling, which adds a touch of elegance to the watch by effectively cutting down the case's angularity. The sides of the case show equally fine horizontal brushing that again flows to the sides of the bracelet. Also worth noting is that the underside of the bracelet is finished in the very same standard as the rest of the case. Finally, looking into the dial, you'll find that each of the hands and markers is divided into brushed and polished facets, further strengthening the watch's overall cohesive design. The lack of a screw-down crown and screw-in case back brings the PRX short of being a perfect watch, which I'm sure most people in this case would well understand. In addition, the Tissot PRX presented a very viable option for getting into the luxurious resurgence of integrated bracelet watches. Prior to its release, those options limited most of us without the means to go upmarket, either in consideration of microbrand efforts or having to look into the territory of Chinese homages. Finally, let's try to rationalize why someone from the top of the pyramid, who most likely is already sporting a true Genta creation on the wrist, would even give this entry-level Tissot a second look. Setting watch knobs aside, true aficionados from this privileged group, as much as any other with a deeper interest in the hobby, see horology in aspects beyond the superficial. These collectors may see the valid retro charm of the PRX by being a very close interpretation of the 1978 Sea Star, apparently making it one of the most faithful vintage reissues from any brand to date. At least personally, I find fascination in the historically significant fact that the PRX, specifically this 35mm Quartz release, pays homage to a watch from Tissot's old catalog that served as the brand's response to the infamous quartz crisis of the time, the very same role that the other watch with the crown had to play. Hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks again for watching.